Greetings and assalamu alaikum. I am Sister Danielle X with the Silent Crime Report. A 5-year-old girl sits in fear, sucking her thumb as no one shows any concern or care of her being alone in broad daylight. One person stops to render aid as 640 other people shop, laugh, look at her in passing, and kept going about their lives. As a live recording is happening for a documentary on the reality of missing people, children in particular, this scene proves how and why. 613 people are missing. How do we turn a blind eye to this? As a human race, what have we resorted ourselves to? Not finding this alarming? If it was to happen to us personally, we would want all forces to assist us in searching for our loved one. What about those Black, brown, and red people that you don't know? We must not keep our eyes closed anymore to what is going on every 27 seconds of the day. This in 2020 is what they want us to adapt to as a normal activity. The powers that be work with the hidden agenda to take what is not theirs. We must bring a stop to the silent crime. I'm honored to further this conversation with special guest, brother I work with in the community multiple times. He's a hard worker, very energetic, drives, loves being an FOI, loves the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in the mission, and that is Brother James W. Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well.
Praise.
And it's an honor to be invited to NNB Studios. And it's an honor to be here. I thank you and all the hardworking individuals at NNB for inviting me to your show today.
Yes, indeed. Yes, sir. So you have the world's attention right now, Brother James. Can you kind of give us a small snippet of you, background, and what you do?
Well, what I do is I'm a hard, dedicated follower of Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Been in the nation for many years. Started off in St. Louis. And in St. Louis, we started a program, me and a brother by the name of Jihad Hassan Muhammad. We started a mentoring program because we saw that the youth in St. Louis was suffering deplorably from neglect.
Yes, sir.
And in this neglect, they were being shot and killed and murdered in the street, joining gangs. So we wanted to tend to the needs of our young people, and we formatted a program, a mentoring program called Dynasty Hip Hop Incorporated mentoring program. And through that program, we were able to get many young people off the street into recording studios in the mosque located in St. Louis on West Florissant. And we saw that our children and our youth were dedicated to coming to the recording studio.
Yes, sir.
But the beautiful thing about it is they came to the recording studios, they would see pictures of Muhammad Ali. They would see the national flag of the Nation of Islam in the corner, and they will begin to ask questions about their environment in which they were in.
Yes,
and
sir.
By us answering those questions, they were able to learn about the Nation of Islam by being attracted to a mentoring program that facilitated them and provided them with something that they love and learn to do, which is hip hop music.
Yes, indeed. Love it. And then you brought that program to Dallas.
Yes, ma'am.
And how has that happened in Dallas?
And now we brought that same mentoring program to Dallas. When I came to Dallas about 6 years ago, our first endeavor was to build a studio here in Dallas. So we built our second studio here in Dallas, and it is functioning now. And we have young people come in, we record them, we facilitate the same needs and the desires. But one other thing that I saw that I had not seen in St. Louis when I came to Dallas, I saw a very, very high homeless population.
Yes, sir.
And when we saw the homeless population, you know, we tend to deal with the needs of the people that surround the mosque. That's our first area that we should serve. It's the area that forms the epicenter around the mosque.
Yes,
and in that area, it is a deplorable and staggering homeless population. Young people, old people, elderly, you name it, they're homeless here.
Yes,
so we started a program with the permission of Student Minister Brother Al Shahid Muhammad, which has been a definitely beautiful pleasure to work with, called Dynasty 48.1 Homeless to Home Outreach Program. And through that Homeless to Home Outreach Program, we have brought in many guests to our Sunday meeting. We bring them in and we treat them like honored dignitaries. We give them a meal, we give them food, we give them hope, and we give them the provision so that they can make it another day And it got to the point that we were bringing them in by the van load. I first started off by bringing them in by the car. We had to make 10 trips in a car.
Yes,
a couple of brothers and I, we made 10 trips in the car, but we were donated a van by the mosque, all praise due to Allah. And we started bringing them by 2 or 3 van loads a day. And we would easily, in one Sunday, bring out between 25 to 35 guests, sometimes reaching as high as 50.
Man, yes, sir. I bear witness. And you all that are watching this show right now, you're looking at the #1 fisherman that was acknowledged by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and doing what he does here in Dallas and bringing guests to the mosque in all walks of life, never judging, dealing with it, making accommodations to make sure our people were able to hear the word of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So congratulations and thank you for your hard work and dedication, Brother James.
Thank you for yours as well, Sister Danielle.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, indeed. Okay, so I have a question.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
when you think about missing people, you talked about the homeless rate in Dallas, right? So when you're thinking about missing people, men, women, and children, and you being a father yourself, how does that make you feel? What comes to mind when you hear about missing people?
What comes to mind when I hear about missing people, or when I saw the video of the girl in the terminal by herself and everyone walking past and no one willing to help her, it reminded me of a dysfunctional family. In a dysfunctional family, you have neglect of children. We as Black people have become a dysfunctional family here in the hills of America. Wow. Through systemic and systematic racism and an attack on our culture and an attack on our family unit. It is because of our estranged relationship from Almighty God Allah that we have fallen into this disparaging condition. It is because we have left God behind and left the moral aptitude of God behind. We now seek ways to be employed and make money that are nefarious or illegitimate. We sell drugs, or we call ourselves gangsters, or we call ourselves pimps and hustlers. And through this maniacal and sadistic lifestyle, we found our men devoid from love and admiration for our family. And we find a lot of our men, because of the same lifestyle, incarcerated in prison. That is the start of a dysfunctional family. Yes, when you have the man that is not in the family, it creates a burden on the female. All of a sudden, the female becomes the main provider for the family. She starts to become a hybrid of her original, beautiful, powerful, feminine, delicate self. And she becomes super tough because now she has to be the protector of the family. And by her having to be the protector and the provider, she is forced to go out and go to work to make something for her children. But then that leads to furthermore the destruction and the dysfunctional family unit. Because now the children are left alone by themselves to fend for themselves. And they become vulnerable. They become like that child in the terminal, seeking love, seeking adulation, seeking some kind of consolation from a mother and father who are not dead. So when them children are left by themselves in that condition, they are vulnerable to people who say, I will help you. Let me show you how to make money. All of a sudden, these maniacal, demonic sex traffickers are able to approach our children.
Yes, sir.
Pimps are able to approach our young girls. Gangs are able to approach our young boys because they're being neglected because the dysfunctional family unit has been totally demolished. Man. So when we take an effort to restore the family, restore love and do for self, then that dysfunctional unit can begin to function appropriately again. And we won't see these children out in the street falling victim to the ills of a society that is made to destroy them.
See, so what you're saying in that, Brother James, because you broke it down, you did that, right? Okay. So
yes,
so in doing that, if we as a family, families, community, ummah, if we begin to start working together and raising our children and being more aware as a woman, as a wife, some girlfriends and boyfriends, so if we begin to start having more connection with our family, that will fill the void of our children missing, that will fill the void of a woman missing, as well as a man, right?
Yeah.
So in that, I want to be able to ask you, what do you use for you and your son, for example, in other junior FOI, and other FOI too? what do you use in precautions to prevent you from being a victim of being sex trafficked or missing or even part of the organ harvesting?
First of all, I want to answer another part of the last question.
Mm-hmm.
One of the imperative parts that are missing in order to restore the continuity of family between Black male and female, which will ultimately lead to the protection of our children, is lack of knowledge of self.
Wow.
Lack of knowledge of self. We're taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as taught today by the Honorable Ms. Louis Farrakhan, that lack of knowledge of self robs you of freedom, justice, and equality.
True.
God came to give us freedom, justice, and equality. And that freedom, justice, and equality is an inalienable divine right for all of humanity. And since we don't have knowledge of self, we fall victim to the term devil or devil. And the term devil means one who devalues or one who brings one down to drag on. The Honorable Ms. Louis Farrakhan taught us that Satan in the Bible is called a dragon. But it means that dragon means one who drags on, or one who pulls down, one who pulls you down from the high stature or the high mind of God and drags you down to the oblivion and iniquitous behavior of beast and devil.
Yes, sir.
So we have to have knowledge of self, first of all. And that knowledge of self is acquisition in this book right here. Message to the Black man. Get that book.
Show it.
So if you out there, please get that book and immerse yourself in the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by the Honorable Ms. Louis Farrakhan. And you can learn more at NOI.org every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central. And I believe that would be 9 a.m. Eastern. Is that correct?
No, that's 10 a.m. Well, 9 a.m. for us.
10 a.m.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And dude. Okay, so hit it. I'm ready. So what do you utilize to precaution state to be able to prevent you from being the next victim, or your son, or another junior FOI you may be working with in the community from being a victim of missing, sex trafficking, and also organ harvesting?
Okay, basically, we have to create awareness of the surroundings.
True.
And the way to create awareness of the surroundings is through self-love, which is taught on page 32 of Message to the Black Man.
Okay.
We must engage in self-love. And the way that we engage in self-love, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we don't judge our people. If they're drinking from a dirty glass, we don't judge them for drinking from a dirty glass. We just simply put a clean glass beside it. And the people themselves would inevitably make a choice to drink from the cleaner glass. Okay. Well, when it comes to dealing with our youth, we have to give them the pure, unadulterated understanding of God. We have to give them a self-awareness of themselves. We have to make them love themselves so much that when a dirty, villainous, despicable, threatening environment comes about, they will prefer the one that they have been taught by their righteous mothers and fathers.
True.
Through self-love, we can develop the skill that creates social awareness. Through the elemental force of self-love, we can create environmental awareness. As a matter of fact, through self-love, we can create a universal awareness to change and gain mastery of our environment. Because right now, what we see in our community, we see that we don't love ourselves, we hate ourselves, we dislike ourselves. There's disunity, there's disagreement, there's quarreling, there's betraying, and there's snitching. We will betray a powerful, prominent Black leader and give them to the open enemy because of envy and jealousy. We have to stop this fighting and distrust and enmity among each other. And the way to do it is through self-love. Self-love creates military structure. Anytime you love something, you protect it. When you buy a new car, brothers and sisters, or you get a new home, the first thing you do is you protect your home. You put an alarm on your car. You put an alarm on your home. That's a form of military presence, meaning that my car is now armed and protected because I see value in it. But because of the devaluing of our people, the devaluing of our hearts and our minds, and the way we view one another, we don't view one another as gods, which we really are. But when we see each other as valuable, then the military structure and infrastructure will come up that we will be able to protect one another. And in this protection, we will question, why is that van sitting over there in the corner with Black tinted windows. We will begin to question, who is that man standing on the corner that we've never seen before? We will get into a military mind, because when our children and our women are walking the street, we want them protected.
Yes,
and
sir.
the men become that force and power, and that force that is the ones that are able to protect women and children. So we must get to understand this, brothers and sisters. We got to get back to that. And when we engage in self-love, which is on page 32 of Mr. the Black Man, I would implore you to read that today and immerse that in your mind. When we get back to mastery of that concept, then we can guarantee and show our children the importance of being socially aware. Because when we love one another, we'll know better. And when we know better, we will ultimately do better and be aware of our surroundings and
True.
choose the best surroundings for our community.
That's true. Now, in that, Brother James, get the average teenager hanging out, going to the corner store, the person that doesn't know about Mr. the Black Man quite yet, the sister who, doing her thing, she want to go to the club, she wants to hang out, she wants to still socialize with her friends, and they haven't got there quite yet. They working on it. But then you have some who like, I love the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, but I'm working on it. Okay. So for those individuals who are not in the Nation of Islam, and we want to be able to reach them, what awareness do they have in beside the self-love and living the everyday life? What key components do they need to be able to go from the car to the grocery store, or go from work to the house? Things to be able to be aware of when you're in the car.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a very good question. And but self-love has to be there. You have to care about surviving first.
True.
You have to care about when you walk into a Walmart. You have to care about how am I going to get out.
True.
So self-love is always there. Self-interest, self-preservation has to be there. Mm-hmm. But if we're gonna bring it down to just an individual going into a Walmart, we have to be aware of soft targets, of how to survive a soft target. The soft target is a place that is not militarily protected, a place that has no defense against volatile intrusion, incursion, or attack. Mm-hmm. How do you survive? The way that you survive is situational awareness. Always be aware of where you are. And I cannot forego the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because we are taught to take charge of this property and of this post and all temporal property in view. So when you go into a Walmart, the first thing that you want to analyze is, first of all, is there another way out than the way I just came in?
Yes, sir.
You want to look for emergency exits. You want to look for all the emergency exits, and you want to run a scenario in your mind that if an active shooter comes through the front door, are you going to go out the front door? You're not. You have to prepare a way to get out. In the military, they call it escape and evade. Escape and evade capture. You are now behind enemy lines when you're not in a sovereign territory of your own. You must be willing to escape and evade. And the first thing you must do is run the scenario in your mind. So when you go into the Walmart, look for an exit. Look for an extra way out. Start to find places. Find where your child is. Don't let your child wander off and look at toys. Keep your children with you at all times. This is not the time where I'm going to just go look at toys. Hey, if you go down, you don't know where your child is. Mm-hmm. Secondly, there are other predatory personalities in Walmart.
Yes,
okay? Sir. It's been a hub for sex traffickers.
Yes,
the parking lot is dangerous. So we want to make sure when we go in that we're able to come out alive. Mm-hmm. Never consider in the time of an active shooter going out the same way you came in. That is what they are expecting. And I can almost guarantee that they will be standing there waiting to gun down anyone that comes out.
Yes.
So find a secondary way out anytime you go into a place.
Yes, sir.
Once you're on the parking lot, brothers and sisters, situational awareness must continue. Brothers, we have to be looking out and protecting our sisters. Sisters, you have to be aware of your surroundings. One thing that a predator does not like in the wilderness or outside the wilderness, whether it be a beast man or a beast like a wolf, they do not like to be seen first.
Yes,
anytime a predator is seen first, the predator rethinks and re-illustrates the form of his attack. The way that anyone attacks you is through ambush. And ambush means to attack those who are not aware. Even when we look at our brothers and sisters in the so-called gangster movies or the exploitation films of the day, when they see someone caught, slipping, they call it. Oh, this brother sleep. He's slipping. That is an invitation for the predator, for the one to come up and put the gun to your head because you was caught slipping. You weren't aware. You didn't take charge of your post and all timber property in view. Be diligent and be aware of your surroundings. When you get to your car, look around the car, look under the car. Just don't assume everything is all right. It's better to be safe than sorry. Some people may say you're paranoid, but it's better to be paranoid and get home alive in the wilderness of North America than to be unaware and found in the back of someone's trunk, having suffocated from asphyxiation, from no oxygen getting to your mind. So brothers and sisters, let's be aware. Watch if there's a van close to your car. Okay? Make sure, and sisters, if you're going out, take a male with you. Take a brother with you. Someone who is willing to fight and die for you. And if you don't have a male that can do that, because I know sometimes we don't, then sisters, you got to roll hard together. Unity is more powerful than an atomic bomb. Stand like a firm wall and fight the enemy and fight them to the death if necessary, but do not compromise or give in on your life. You fight to the death and you kill them if that be the need.
Indeed you do. And then you breaking that down, Brother James. It was a sister here in Dallas. She went to the Walmart. She was not aware of her surroundings. Got in the car. It was a guy in the back seat. And she put the keys in the ignition. He came around her neck with a knife, right? And told her to drive. So she's driving. She's panicking. She's driving. She gets on 635. And then he's talking to her about getting to her banking ATM machine. And she said in her mind, she had a quick decision to make. Going through the high five, do I continue to have him with this knife against my neck, or do I ram my car into this wall? Either I die here, I can't go where he's going. I don't want to go where he goes. She was willing to put her life on the line at that moment. She rammed her car into that wall. Of course, she got damaged. You know, he was shook up, but she was able to get out. People came to render aid, and she was able to get away by the grace of Allah. But in that, it was a rapid decision that had to be made. So that when you talked about making awareness and being aware of your surroundings, sisters, when you get in the car, check your back seat. Don't ride in the car with your purse in the front seat with you. Don't walk around with your purse wrapped around your body. Absolutely. Be able to, and if you ever come across two vans in a parking lot, never park your car between two trucks or two vans. Because it's normally one person who will hide under the van, and when you're getting in the car, they're going to cut you at your ankles, and they're going to slide the van door open, and they're going to throw you in, and it happens very fast. Now, again, if you're ever put in a position where you have to fight for your life like that, like the Grandmaster Abdullah Aziz says, you fight till you can't fight no more. Yeah. And then when you can't fight no more, you still fight. Because you'd rather die there than to die in a warehouse or in a pimp house or in someone's basement being sex trafficked day in and day out for your life. Never allow anyone to break you down. You submit to no one but the Creator. And you have to think about that for yourself. You never submit and break yourself down to where you're comfortable enough where you say, I'm tired. I can't fight anymore. Gash his eyes out. Bite him, her. Choke them, kick. You fight, but you never give up fighting for your life because you don't want to be a printout on a Walmart or a Target wall. It's not worth it. And as a female, you're looked at as a prey and you're looked at as vulnerable. We're underestimated, women, children. Fight till you can't fight no more because you cannot and you will not submit to whomever that person is. Brother James, when you're out and about with your everyday life and you go to the store and you see a sister, and she's in La La Land, and you see men who are like, I would say, crowding around her, she's being set up. How would you as an FOI respond to something like that when you see a sister walk into her car solo or with her children, and you see men lurking on her and setting her up to be snatched, what would your response be?
The response would be to ultimately take charge of your post and all temporal property. What we have to come to the realization is, as followers of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, and even if you're not, if you're a man, okay, any man that is calling himself a man should always be on the lookout in defense of women and children, no matter where they go.
Yes,
you
sir.
see a child running towards the door and about to leave, someone should say, "Hey, whose baby is this over here?" You should kindly and politely and gently bring the baby and make someone aware that the baby is getting away. Yes. We have to protect our children and our women. The Honorable Minister, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said in Message to the Black Man that a nation can rise no higher than this woman, but it says also that a man would be a fool to let any other man come into the field of where his women are. He gave the allegory of the woman being like crop and said that any farmer that is growing a crop would not let any worms or any insect overcome his crop or his vegetation because he's growing something. And when we have a beautiful woman and the best and the most powerful woman on the planet, which is the original woman, the Asiatic Black woman, why would we be fools to squander her security and her safety and not be on the lookout for intruders and insects and those that would blood suck her will, her power, and her essence? We have to constantly be aware of this. So what we do is, when you see someone looking at the sister, you look at them and you say to them, "Bro, you all right? I see you noticing my sister. She's beautiful, isn't she?" You automatically put a connection between you and that woman, even if you don't know her.
That's right.
Even if you don't know her, you just say, "I see you looking at my sister over there. Yeah, she's beautiful, isn't she? Yeah, I'm just out here making sure she's safe." Let the attacker, let the ambush predator know that he's been spotted. Let him know that he's been seen. In most cases, this would thwart their attack on the sister. If it goes beyond that and the attack begins, then damn it, you got to do what you got to do. Kill him. Outright kill him. If he's intending to attack our sisters, kill us, or kill or harm a woman or a child, then that man shouldn't be walking. That man shouldn't be walking, whether they black, white, red, yellow, brown, or whatever. If you attack a woman or a child, you should be destroyed. Outright destroyed for trying to kill and take the peace and blessing that God has given through us and our women and our children.
Indeed.
So we have to be soldiers at all times.
Yes,
we got to take charge of our post and all temporal property in view. And temporal property, the Nation of Islam, brothers and sisters, is all of our people. We all are the Nation of Islam. It's not just somebody in the suit and bow tie. The Nation of Islam is that bum on the street. The Nation of Islam is that doctor in the hospital. The Nation of Islam is a sovereign, beautiful nation of people that God has come to get back. And by us having a little bit of knowledge of self, because we ain't got it all, but by us having a little bit, we should be found diligently on our job, saving our people. Do you know when God was on his way to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, he met with Abraham. Abraham said, "You know, I know you're going to destroy the city, but will you save the city if you find 50? God said, "I will save it for 50 seconds." He said, "Will you save the city if you wait. He brought the number down. 30, 25, 20. Will you say if you find 10? God was so beautiful and omnipotent in his mercy that he said, no matter how low the number Abraham brought it down to, he said, "If I find that many, I will save the city." Well, brothers and sisters, for God to find that small number, we have to be active in our community working.
Yes, sir.
Do you know that 5 hard-working believers in the community teaching righteousness to our people could save your city? It could save your city. And if we're doing this collectively throughout the country, we can buy more time for America and more time for ourselves to get our acts together. So be diligent and aware and act as a savior and protect yourselves and your family, and most of all, our women and our children.
So we're including the World Star recorders. We're including the brothers who record incidents happening and stand there and laugh in mockery of the sister getting beat up by somebody, and you see her getting put in the trunk of a car, and that's entertainment for you. Or you see a little young girl who is a prostitute on the corner who's out there doing a thing, but you look in her eyes and you see she wants to get away and can't. Those are eye catchers. You know, back in the 60s and the 70s, you know, it was times where we would go in the community and bust the dope houses up. We would go in there and bust these sex trafficking and prostitution rings. We would go in there and bust it up. Now we become comfortable to a norm. We have to be able to take forces and be able to take our communities back. But I want to say this, sisters, make it a little easier for the brothers. Don't be out past nighttime. Travel in pairs. Because you have to understand the brothers are willing to protect you. And they're willing to cover down, taught by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But we have to make it a little easier for them. So cover down. Don't be out here wandering in the streets of wilderness by yourself at night. You shouldn't be out at night. If you have to get gas and you have to get gas, get on your way from work or wherever you're going, or get it in the morning. Have someone with you when you're in the grocery store with the children. You can't watch all children by yourself. Have someone go with you, or leave them at home and have someone babysit for you. Because see, what happens is the brothers come to rescue us and give us security, and they're willing to give their lives for us. We make so many, we break and create nuisances all day. Genoa number 9. We have to be able to make this easier because they put their life on the line for us, and they go out there protecting us, and then they lose their life in that. Your hair wasn't covered. You weren't properly dressed. You know, and it's unfortunate you become a victim in the missing reports, or you become a victim of even being molested. But the first thing they're going to ask, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is going to ask, what did she look like? How was she dressed? Who was she with? So do you want to be able to help the process? Protect yourself first. You say take care of self, take care of you. If the FOI can't get there fast enough, guess what? You have to be able to cover down until the FOI get there, but make their job a little easier. Making good decisions, being proactive and not reactive. Because again, that brother may have a family. He has children. He has a wife. He could be single. He got a mama, right? Be able to make sure we make the best decision as a female and children we can to protect and preserve what we have in our structure in the Nation of Islam. So I want to cover that part, Brother James. Because we oftentimes we're out here and we're free. It's COVID-19. Hair not covered. You know, we do what we do, but we have to be able to be smart in our times and understand that the structure is structure for us, but it can also be wise for her to protect herself in her own space. So I want to cover that. Now, so I mentioned World Star, and I mentioned social media recording, Facebook Live, and we see things. You know, what encouragement do you have for the brothers? Letting them know too, they can be snatched, they can be sex trafficked, they can be organ harvested as well. You're not omitted from the ratio that men too do get snatched and murdered for organ harvesting as well.
Yes, definitely. That is something that brothers must be aware of. And, you know, when we put God first, it is hard to fall into the snares, into the traps of Satan. Yes, when God is first and your morals are first, whether you in the Nation of Islam or not, you know who God is.
That's right.
You know right from wrong. And you know that you have gotten comfortable in wrongdoing. Mm-hmm. Brothers, do you know that one of the main ways that men are sold into sex slavery is through the charms of a woman?
Yes, indeed.
It's been a lot of through an unrighteous woman. It's been a lot of brothers who have been killed, murdered, and massacred because they had a lure. And that lure was the enticing beauty of an unrighteous woman.
Wow. And
she'll invite you over to her house, and before you know it, you're having a little drink, and then you wake up in some far region of the world tied to a bed, face down, while someone is doing whatever they want to do to you, if you know what I mean.
Yes, sir.
So, brothers, I would implore us to be righteous, to seek a wife, to seek someone to love, and that one individual, whether you're in the Nation of Islam or not, find one person and stick with that one person. Commit yourself and resolve yourself to building family again, and come away from this dangerous life Or if I'm in the club dancing and partying and smoking and drinking, and all of a sudden somebody puts something in your drink and you wake up as a slave, as a sex slave, or worse, your organs, your kidneys are missing, your heart is missing, your brain is missing, the eye is missing. This has happened many times. So, brothers, we have to also be on our job. It's one other situation I like to talk about, Sister Danielle.
Yes, sir.
As far as sisters being in danger. It was one time that me and Brother Ahmad, we were at the mall, and I was outside in my car, and we saw two brothers beating up one of our sisters, not an MGT, but it was a sister in the community. She was being assaulted, and she was being repeatedly punched in her face. I did a circle gesture to Brother Ahmad. He came running out the door. We jumped in the car. We rolled down the block, and we swerved in like Batman and Robin on these brothers. And when we jumped out the car, we didn't know if these brothers were going to have guns. We didn't know if they were going to have knives. But we got up in their face, and we got into a fight stance, and we ready to throw blows, and we said, Allahu Akbar. And when we said Allahu Akbar, they both froze. The brother that I was in front of, he put his hands up like this, and he said, I don't F with Muslims. He put his hands down. He started to walk away. The brother that was in front of Brother Ahmad, he still wanted to fight. So I turned my attention towards him. When he saw his friend walking off, he said, all right, y'all win this one, but it ain't over. We gonna come back after y'all. At that point, a brother in the community that we did not know pulled up in a car, and he lifted up his shirt, and he had a firearm. He said, y'all brothers need any help? We said, no, brother, we got it, but thank you for your assistance. The same time, it was Mexicans that were working in the garage across the street. They all came running to assist the Muslims. This also goes to re-illustrate that people will not respect you until you respect and protect your woman.
That's right.
That woman was being assaulted and accosted and brutalized, but until we intervened, nobody cared. Until we intervened and said, you ain't gonna harm my sister, nobody cared. After the brothers walked off after making a threat to the Nation of Islam in the mighty city of Dallas, I got on the phone, I called the student minister, I called the captain, and the captain said, okay, brother, we're gonna investigate it, hold tight. So what happened is we launched an investigation. I knew the gangs in the community by working in the community before. We went to where the gangs were, and I talked to one of the leaders in the gangs in the South Dallas area. And I told the brother what happened. I said, brother, we witnessed something that we cannot tolerate right near our mom. And we intervened and we stopped it. We were threatened by one of your members for stopping this incursion on one of our sisters in the community. At that time, I told him that if it is going to be an attack on us, we will fight in righteousness, and we fight with those who fight with us. Yes. We're letting you know what we're willing to do, that we are unafraid, because what we did with God's permission and grace. At that time, the leader of the gang stopped and said, you know what, brother? If they harm you, we will harm them. And I was sending out the word that no one would touch any member of the Nation of Islam or suffer the consequences from us internally.
Yes, sir.
So we have to stand up. It's all about standing up, being bold and brave today, and be willing to put your life on the line. Yes, and that day we did it, and Allah did come through for us.
Man.
All praise to Allah.
So when you break that down, Bro James, that expresses my question in regards to the importance of establishing but building our communities. You know, we have to start patrolling our own. When I mentioned about going into the drug houses and going into the prostitution rings, we have to take a stance to be able to knock fear out.
Yeah.
You know, be able to go in and protect. If you you protect what you love. And in doing that, our children need a safe environment to be raised. You know, our women need to be protected. Our men do too. In an environment where we call home. This is supposed to be our community. So when you talk about 10,000 Fearless, talk about, you know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan making these things happen and speaking about it, express to our people, for those who are just joining in this conversation about the missing of our people, red, black, and brown people. But we're talking about our communities and how to take over charge of what we say is ours. So, Bro James, what do we need to do first in being able to establish the security and making our communities a decent place to live and safe environment for our children's sake? Sex trafficking will be eliminated. Human trafficking will be eliminated. Prostitution will be eliminated. Missing and kidnapped children will be eliminated. What do we need to do first?
The first thing that we need to do is we have to be re-educated. We need a new re-education and understanding the value of one another. We have to literally fall deeply in love with one another.
Yes, sir.
And the first way to start that is through understanding that God is in you. You know, there's a scripture that says, "Ye are all God's children of the Most High God." When Jesus was at the Last Supper and he said the prayer, he said, "Our Father who art in heaven." He didn't say, "My daddy who is in heaven." He said, "Our Father." That means that we share something in common with Jesus.
Yes, sir.
That means that God has more than one son. Who are we to think that God can't handle more than one child? Big Mama down the street got 10 grandchildren, but God only got one son? You mean to tell me that God had Jesus and said, "Look, I'm stopping right here.
Yeah.
Can't handle more children"? That Jesus was a handful. You think that God said that? But yet there are women, men, and children in this world that don't have the love and aptitude of Almighty God. They're not the omnipotent creator, but they have more than one child. It is foolish to think that God only has one son. God has many, many, many children, and you are of those children.
Yes, sir.
When you start to see yourself as a child of God, and my sister is a child of God, and my brother is a child of God, and we are the family of God, that will stop the dysfunctioning of our family.
Yes, sir.
And we will start to come together, love, protect, and consolidate forces and resources to change our community. And we are taught that force and power is the essence of God.
Yes, sir.
So when we start to realize who we are and love who we are, the force of love will come into our heart, and we will protect, fight, and die to preserve our community and our people. That's the first thing that we have to do.
Beautiful.
The second thing we have to do is engage as men in manhood training. The second thing we have to do as women is engage in general civilization classes.
Yes, sir.
As men, we are taught that that the FOI is always the best because he's constantly training and conditioning himself to overcome all obstacles in his path.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes.
He has a sole mission to bring the 20 million or more dead to the Lamb of God through his servant, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes, sir.
In order to do this, he must be obedient, militant, humble, tolerant, honest, courteous, and dependable. Honest and courteous and dependable. See, when we become that kind of man, we ain't selling drugs when we honest. We ain't cheating on our wives when we dependable. We are not breaking the law in our community when we are obedient to the law of God. No one will come in and kill us when we are militant and militarily trained and ready to defend our lives with our lives. That's what we have to do. And the sisters, when they learn general civilization class, which is a beautiful class that I remind you, I know nothing about. Because I've never been in that class.
Yes, sir.
I've never been in that class. But it's a beautiful class where our sisters learn how to refine themselves, how to carry themselves at home and abroad, and how to take care of themselves and their family and beautify the lives of their husbands. Man, when we get this teaching, we are free. We can set ourselves in heaven overnight. All we have to do is make up our minds to want to be better and want to do better. And even if you don't join the Nation of Islam, just accept these principles into your life. Yes, accept these principles into your church. Accept these principles into your school. Accept these principles. We see churches now that have military protection outside of their churches. We see churches now that are adopting and calling us to train them. We are willing to go anywhere and train you on civilization and making a change in our community. And then collectively, we will become a great nation made of Muslims, Christians, Jehovah's Witnesses, and all mannerisms of faith, because the two great monotheistic religions of the world are not Christianity and Islam, but right and wrong. And when we all agree to do right, that's when we've arrived in heaven.
Yes, I love it. Absolutely love it. For those who are tuning in, I'm talking to and having a conversation, a very detailed conversation, I must say, with Brother James W. Muhammad from Dallas. And him and I are speaking in regards to missing children, sex trafficking, human trafficking, organ harvesting. Brother James, you have the entire world's attention, brother. You have everybody looking at you right now. What information do you want to share to everybody about awareness quickly, and then breaking down the severity of missing children, missing women, missing men, and how it's happening more and more each day, and how we have to do better to avoid and prevent ourselves from being the next victim. And when you see something happening, we must say something.
Yeah. No matter how small it is, it's better to be safe than sorry. And this is a real pandemic. The missing of Black men, women, and children. It's not one that's being made up. But unfortunately, we begin to miss and misinterpret or misunderstand the severity of the situation. Yes. And the reason we misinterpret and misunderstand the severity of the situation is because the media does not report it correctly. The media that we trust are controlled by those who are not looking out for our best interest. The media that we trust are controlled by those who are the open enemies of righteousness, freedom, justice, and equality. There are over 230,000 Black men, women, and children that go missing every year. It is a very, very horrible situation that's part of the systemic plan to depopulate our world. But we are unaware of the severity of the situation because the media reports it incorrect.
Yes, sir.
The media, when someone is killed in the community or an active shooter goes into the community, if it is a white man, the media will report it. A gunman went into the store and started shooting people. They won't say a white man went into the store and started shooting people. But if a Black man gets a gun and shoots someone, they would say 2 armed Black men. They don't say gunmen. They say 2 armed Black men. So they give a negative perception of Black life. They make Black life seem like it's not worth anything. But when it comes to white life, they even hide their indiscretions and their evil. And what they have been doing to us is killing us and putting out the negative things that we do, but not showing the true danger that we are in. And even when Black lives go missing, or a Black male is missing, or a Black woman is missing, they give the impression that they were involved in something illegal. They give the impression that they were killed because they were doing something that they weren't supposed to be doing. The police are continuing an ongoing investigation. So we have to start to think more of ourselves, get beyond the social standard of the media, and understand that, you know what, if our brother or sister is missing, killed, accosted, or attacked by the police, rogue police officers or law enforcement, or anyone time they go missing, we must assume that the worst was done by an open enemy to the best of us. Stop assuming that your brothers and sisters are evil. Stop assuming that, you know, he is Black, he did something wrong. No, the Caucasian has a history of wrongdoings to us. They have a history of wrongdoings to us, whether it's been slavery, sex trafficking, abuse, even with the Tuskegee experiment, with AIDS being proliferated in our community, with the counterintelligence program, destroying Black life and putting drugs in our community. And even in their counterintelligence program, they specified and made it clear that they were on the lookout for a Black Messiah. They're on the lookout for someone who will come and free. And any Black man or woman who has stood up for you has been killed by the government of the United States. So why would you trust their propaganda machine? Why would you trust NBC? Why would you trust CBS? But I could tell a machine that you can trust, that's NNV. You can trust NFA. You can trust the Final Call newspaper. You can trust the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You can trust the words and the integrity of those who commit themselves to do the work of God in your community. So, brothers and sisters, let's put some stock in our nation and let's pick up our paper. Let's support media. You can trust Dynasty 48.1 Talk Radio. You can trust your brother Ben Next. You can trust your brother Rizla Islam. The hell with everybody else. Support your own. Let's accept our own and do for ourselves.
Yes, sir. Love it. Love it. Thank you. Thank you, Brother James. For those that came in later on, you can go back and watch this conversation at your free time, and be able to take notes, share with your friends and family, and be able to get the information out. We have to keep our eyes open. We have to be aware of our surroundings, know that we are under attack on many levels, and we can't get caught slipping, because the opportunity for you to get snatched is going to come The Grandmaster Abdulaziz always says it's not if it happens, it's when it happens. How are you going to be able to handle that? Brother James, I am honored and thankful to Allah that you were able to join me in today at National Network View. We were able to have this conversation finally, and you gave some great information, and I'm thankful to Allah for all the hard work that you do, and we'll be talking soon.
Yes, ma'am. I thank you once again for being invited to this platform.
Yes,
it's a beautiful platform. I love everything that's going on here, and I thank all those who are working on behalf of the Honorable Ms. Louise Farrakhan at National Network View to bring the informative content that you bring. There is so much what our people need in order to make a change in their life and to get the truth that they need so desperately to survive this day of all America.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And stand by for me, please, sir. You all have a wonderful day. Share the video. If you have any questions or concerns or comments, you can share them at the comment box below. Follow us on social media at National Network View here on Facebook Live, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. I am Danielle X with nnvnews.com.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.
As a growing epidemic across the world, many of our people are coming up missing literally every second of the hour. The question is, what's happening? Most of it is human and sex trafficking, better known as the silent crime.